All right, so picture this. One of the most critical moments in all of history. Jesus gets his closest friends together for one last, really important conversation. And the words he says in that room, they're some of the most powerful, most comforting things ever recorded. So today, we're not just going to read John 14. We're going to take a visual journey through it together. We're going to make these promises stick in a way you'll never forget.
You can just feel it, right? The air in that room is just thick with fear. Jesus has just dropped an absolute bombshell. He's leaving. Can you imagine looking at the disciples' faces? Total confusion, panic, heartbreak. I mean, their leader, their best friend. It feels like he's abandoning them. And it's right into that storm of anxiety that Jesus speaks his very first words of comfort.
And he starts with a promise aimed, directly at their hurting hearts. So let's dive in. We're going to break down these first 4 verses piece by piece.
Okay, verse 1. Let not your heart be troubled. He's looking right at them, this incredibly steadying presence. Just picture a firm, gentle hand on a shaking shoulder. That moment of pure, calming reassurance. Then, verse 2. In my Father's house are many rooms. I go to prepare a place for you. Think about this huge, magnificent home, but your eyes are drawn to just one room, and it's being carefully prepared, a space made just for you. Next, verse 3. I will come again and will take you to myself. The image here is so clear. It's an open door, just flooded with this warm, welcoming light. It's a promise that he's coming back. And finally, verse 4. And you know the way to where I am going. He's basically telling them, you already know the path. It's like seeing a clear, well-lit road stretching way out into the distance.
But, the disciples, they're just not feeling it. They are still completely lost. And that's when Thomas, brave old Thomas, speaks up for everyone. He voices all the doubt in the room with this incredibly honest question. He's pretty much saying, Lord, hold on. We don't even know where you're going, so how on earth could we possibly know the way to get there?
Now, Jesus' answer, wow, it just changes everything. He doesn't hand them a map. He gives them himself. I am the way, the truth, and the life. See, he's not just a guide who points out the path. He is the path. Imagine you're in a dark, tangled forest, totally lost, and then suddenly, boom, a single radiant road appears, cutting right through all the chaos, leading straight to a brilliant light. That's Jesus. He is the way.
So, this incredible claim of being the way leads to an even more staggering revelation about who he really is. Yeah, these next few verses are all about his unbreakable, inseparable connection to God the Father.
So in verse 7, Jesus says something like, look, if you had really known me, you would have known my Father too. But then Philip, who is still just not getting it, he blurts out, Lord, just show us the Father. That's all we need. That will be enough for us. He wants proof, right? A sign, just a little peek behind the curtain.
And Jesus replies, and you can almost hear a little bit of sadness in his voice in verse 9, Have I been with you for so long, and you still do not know me, Philip? Anyone who has seen me has seen the Father. Imagine looking right into Jesus' eyes and seeing the reflection of a magnificent throne. Then in verse 10, he presses the point, I am in the Father, and the Father is in me. For this, just picture 2 interlocking rings made of pure light, perfectly unified, inseparable. And, for anyone still doubting, verse 11 offers the final proof. If you can't believe my words, then at least believe because of the miracles you've seen with your own eyes.
And as if that wasn't enough, Jesus then makes one of the boldest, most audacious promises in the entire Bible. And get this, it's not about what he did, but about what they are going to do.
He lays it all out in 3 connected steps. Okay, first, in verse 12, you get the promise. Believers will do even greater works than he did. The picture for this? It's a tiny little seed being planted, and then it just explodes into this massive tree with branches that span the entire world. Amazing. Second, in verse 13, he tells them the power source. Whatever you ask in my name, that I will do. Just picture hands folded in prayer and this golden light flowing right from them to accomplish some incredible task. And then third, in verse 14, he gives them this amazing reassurance. If you ask anything in my name, I will do it. I mean, imagine a royal guarantee signed and sealed by the king himself. It's like being handed a blank check of spiritual authority.
But wait a second. How? How could they possibly do these greater works when their leader is literally about to leave them? Well, Jesus provides the answer right away in the next section. He promises them a helper. Now, this promise is conditional. It all starts in verse 15. If you love me, keep my commandments. The image here is a heart with a keyhole, and a key, shaped like an ancient scroll, slides in and unlocks it perfectly. Obedience, that's the key. Then comes the promise in verse 16. He will give you another helper. And the visual for this is so powerful. Imagine a comforting, strong figure just appearing right beside a disciple, placing a hand on their shoulder, offering that solid support and guidance.
So, who is this helper? Well, in verse 17, Jesus calls him the Spirit of Truth. And let's be clear, this isn't some temporary guide. No, this is a divine advocate, a permanent comforter, a presence that the outside world just can't see or understand. And the comfort just keeps on coming. Verse 18, I will not leave you as orphans. Picture a group of lost, scared children suddenly being wrapped in this warm, protective light. Then, verse 19, because I live, you also will live. For this one, imagine a completely dead, withered tree instantly bursting back into full, vibrant life. And then, in verses 20 and 21, he lays out their new reality. You in me, and I in you. Just picture 3 concentric circles of light, one inside the other, perfectly unified and interconnected.
You know, this whole idea of an exclusive relationship, it prompts another question. This time it's from Judas, not Iscariot, the other one. He's basically asking, hey Lord, how come you're going to reveal yourself to us and not to the rest of the world? Why this secret? And it's a totally logical question, right? He's curious about this insider knowledge.
Jesus' answer in verses 23 and 24 shows that it's not actually about secrecy at all, it's about relationship. He says that for anyone who loves him and obeys his teaching, the Father and the Son will come to him and make our home with him. The image here? A simple, ordinary house that suddenly starts glowing brightly from the inside out. But for those who don't love him, well, there's just no connection. There's no shared home.
All right, as we head into the final section of the chapter, you can feel the tone shift. Jesus is getting ready to leave them with one last incredible gift.
So in verse 25, he reminds them of all the things he's taught them, like little seeds being planted in their minds. But what happens when they forget? I mean, it's a lot to remember. That's where the helper comes back in. Verse 26 makes this amazing promise that the helper will teach you all things and bring to your remembrance all that I have said to you. Just picture that same helper figure gently illuminating the pages of a scroll, making every single word crystal clear. And now we get to that final gift in verse 27. Peace I leave with you, my peace I give to you. And he's really careful to point out this isn't the kind of peace the world gives, the kind that only exists when your circumstances are calm. No, this is a deep internal stillness. The image that comes to mind is a perfectly serene lake at dawn, totally still and untouched by any storm. The chapter closes out with this really rapid-fire timeline. It's like bam, bam, bam. Verse 29 is the now. I'm telling you this ahead of time so you'll believe when it happens. Verse 30 is the soon. The ruler of this world is on his way. And verse 31 is the why. I'm doing all this to show the world my love and my obedience to the Father.
Let's just pause for a second on that line from verse 30. The ruler of this world is coming. He's talking about Satan, and the image is just chilling. It's a dark, menacing storm cloud gathering on the horizon. But right after that warning comes this incredibly defiant declaration. He has no claim on me. The enemy has no power here. No hold, no leverage, none.
And then the chapter ends, but not with a quiet fade out. It ends with a powerful, decisive call to action. With this huge threat approaching, Jesus doesn't cower, he doesn't hide. He stands up and says, "Arise, let us go from here." The final visual is from our perspective, a follower, looking up as Jesus stands with total resolve and turns to lead the way, out of the room and straight towards his destiny. And just like that, with that call to action, the conversation is over. A prepared place, a clear path, a divine helper, and a peace that the world just can't understand. So let me ask you, if these were the very last words you were ever going to hear from your closest friend, which one of those promises would you hold on to the tightest?